Hi guys, Diane here. So I shot a video a couple weeks ago about how to use virtual resources, contractors, freelancers to grow your business. And a question that I got back was, well, how do you actually, once you actually brought them on board, how do you work with them? Like, how do you ensure that you have a good working relationship? There are a few things that come into play here, and I definitely understand that when you bring on a resource and you've never really worked with a contractor or a freelancer before or a virtual worker before, it can be a little intimidating and that you're not quite sure how the workflow should look. And this is where I hear a lot of people say that, oh, I had a really bad experience. I don't like working with remote resources or freelancers because they just can't get the job done quite right. But I'm going to give you guys a few tips on how to ensure that you actually have a really good experience with your freelancers, with your contractors, with your virtual resources. The first thing that you really need to do when you bring on a virtual resource or a contractor or a freelancer is actually you do have to do a little bit of onboarding with them, right? You have to let them know what you expect from them, whether it's a one-off project or whether it's part-time ongoing, administrative support or marketing support, whatever it is, you have to outline your expectations for them for the job that they're doing, right? So they need to know what the expected outcome is, no matter what type of resource you're bringing into your team. The second thing that you really have to do is there can't be any drive-by delegation, right? If you have a vision for what you want the end product to be, or if you have, parameters around what would make you feel really comfortable with that resource, this is your business, and you are allowed to ask for what would make you feel really comfortable. For instance, I spoke to a business owner who said, "Oh, well, I've been burned in the past before by a marketing resource that I brought on, and they essentially didn't really do a whole lot for me. I paid them a lot of money, and there was no real return. And when I asked her, well, what was your reporting process, right? What were they sending to you? How did you know, or how were you measuring their success? How are you measuring, what they were doing? How are they communicating all of that to you?" And she said, well, there was really nothing, that she didn't ask for anything, and she just assumed that it would be all sent to her. Like, their process would give her an update as to where they were and how they were progressing. And this is one of the things with contract resources that you have to be aware of, is that the workflow will be different based on the contractor that you're bringing on. Some people have, really detailed, tight customer processes, and some people may be a little looser. So if you need something to feel comfortable, like this woman, she wanted to see more reporting. She wanted to see, what was happening, where they were gaining traction. She wanted to see more detailed status reports to feel comfortable about that resource. Then you can ask for those things. It's not unreasonable to ask, hey, I would really like to see more detailed reporting, as we're getting started in our relationship. That is not an unreasonable ask. So if there's something that you feel like you really want to see, or that you really need to feel comfortable working with that resource, then feel free to ask for it. It's your prerogative as a business owner, and as a business owner themselves. I don't think it's too much of a stretch for them to put themselves in your shoes and, understand kind of where you're coming from. The third piece that you really need is that there needs to be ongoing checks, right? You can't just say, oh, well, I have a website that I want you to build. I kind of have an idea that I want it to look like this. I'll check in with you on 3 months, in 3 months when it's done. That doesn't give you any room to course correct, right? And I understand that this could be a little bit of a burden for some people who don't like managing, right? But even the most expert resource is going to need some feedback from you in order to complete the project and really to meet your expectations. So build in a feedback loop. What does that loop look like for you? What would make you feel good and comfortable that things are progressing and that will give you space and time to course correct? Is it weekly status calls? Is it a weekly summary email? Is it a bi-weekly video chat? What is it? But you need to define that and outline it as a parameter when you start the relationship. When you don't do these things, when you don't outline what your expectations are when you are not, giving them a clear understanding of what you really need to see and feel comfortable in the business, and you don't have a clear feedback and communication loop. That's where things go totally sideways, and that's when you're going to have a bad experience or a less than satisfactory experience with your resource. So to really work well with these resources and to get exactly what you want and need out of them, outline your expectations and let them know what those expectations are. Second, make sure that you're asking for the things that would make you feel comfortable, that would make you feel secure that the work is progressing, whether it's a project, whether it's ongoing. And then finally, make sure that there is a clear feedback loop, a communication cycle that is built into the way that you work together so that you always know where things stand, right? So that is always flowing back to you and you're not just kind of letting things go without any room to course correct, or to really check in and say, hey, this is not really what I'm looking for. We need to adjust what's going on. So does this help you in terms of hiring your first contractor or your first virtual resource? I hope it does, because it's never too early to ask for help within your business, especially as you're growing and you're ramping up. If you have any questions about growing your team in this way, or what kind of resources you might possibly need, or how to manage them, please feel free to drop me a line. I always love chatting with you guys. So until next time, this is Diane. Thanks. Bye.